Hey, this is Ross Payton with Role Playing Public Radio. This is RPPR episode 151, PAX South 2018 wrap-up. Normally, last couple of years, this has been a Patreon thing, but this year was a very tabletop sort of oriented PAX, so I thought this would be better for, our main podcast. And so we have with us the three other people from RPPR who went there, Aaron, Tom, and special guest Chris. Chris, yeah,
I'm the guy.
You are the guy.
That is true. That is very true.
And this has been a really fun PAX South. I don't want to say it's the best one ever, but it was really fun. I got to do a lot of things that I hadn't been able to do before. Highlights include, of course, True Dungeon. I demoed a full skirmish game that I had not been able to try before called Wild West Exodus. Played a lot of two board games I hadn't played before. Tried a couple of new video games, and of course hanging out with the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Farmer, and trying, of course, his shitty Xbox games.
Oh my God! Happy to provide.
Yeah, yes, thank you so much.
I cannot wait to talk about those.
shitty Xbox games. And oh god, yeah. So that's gonna be fun. But of course, no news for this episode because just to wrap up.
The news is we went to PAX South. Boom, there you go.
All right, thank you, Tom. And
I do what I can.
You do, yeah. So we rented a car this time for a trip because it's a
much better idea.
Yeah, 700-mile trip or so from where we are. So it's 11 hours of driving more or less, one way.
One way, yeah.
Yeah, and so we did a bunch of podcasts. We'll talk about the podcast at the last. Let's just go around and talk about some of the highlights and lowlights of the con for each of you. So first off, I guess Chris, highlights and lowlights of the con before we get too much into specifics.
Oh, sure. Well, let's just go ahead and get the warm and gushy out of the way. The highlight is obviously that I get to see you guys.
Oh.
And you guys make the effort and the time to make the drive and come down here and see me. And I almost put the scotch on this thing because I had the nerve to get sick just shortly before they showed up. But I nutted up and I was able to show up just in time. And basically is how I felt.
Yeah. Damn you, chicken.
So, but let's see here. One of the absolute best things I thought was I had the opportunity to go to a booth that was manned by Limited Run Games, and I don't know how much people in the RPPR circle really play video games or know about them, but Limited Run Games is known for making physical copies, UPC bars, and everything on them. Of what are traditionally digital games, and they mainly deal with console games, but they've also known to do with Steam releases. Mm-hmm. And I was very fortunate to be able to pick up a copy of a game that I thought that had fallen out of the wayside. They usually only print about 2,000 copies of these games, and apparently they had found some in a sock drawer and brought them to PAX, and so I was able to snap it up. That was fantastic.
Yeah, you picked up La Mulana, which looked and I managed to look through it. It looked the Vita version, the PS Vita version of it, with the soundtrack and this beautiful printed manual and poster and stuff like that. It looked really good. If I had a Vita, I might have been tempted to spend $65 for it or whatever it was. So
sure,
yeah.
But just so you know, La Mulana is also available on Steam. You don't need to buy a dead, dying Sony handheld to play it.
Yeah, I do have it for Steam. Actually, I have played it a little bit.
Oh, excellent. So then you're aware of it. I mean, these sorts of games that are just the more impenetrable and difficult a game is, the more I'm weirdly drawn to it. Even though I typically have zero patience, I think every year I grow older, I get closer to just selecting baby mode right out the outset.
Yeah.
I got Wolfenstein 2 earlier this year, and I just picked the baby. I know what I'm here for.
Yeah,
Chris plays Babby.
Yeah, I played it on normal mode, but it's Wolfenstein 2. But yeah, I know what you mean. There are a lot of games I just want to get through the story. I just want to see it, especially games that are like sneak past the monster kind of things. I don't really have as much patience for those anymore, because it's like the first time it's scary, but the sixth time is like, oh god, just got to be a little faster to jump on the thing and jump over here and run here. Fuck. So that was my experience. That was me role-playing, me playing Amnesia Dark Descent.
See, I have that for when originally we put that on Raillery, but it just becomes even more frustrating during that time.
Yeah, exactly. So, so Aaron, what are your highlights and lowlights?
Like I said, the primary one, we'll get into that later. Again, seeing Chris, and then going to True Dungeon 2, which was the biggest one because we finally got to drag you in with us on that.
Yes.
And
I was so happy, trust me. I was looking forward to it for months.
Yeah, absolutely for that. A lot of the things I was looking for, like this year, I saw a couple of cool things. Like the one game that I ended up playing or getting to try out was a thing called Armed Gelatinous, which was this 4-player like massive shooter that you play these blobs that you'll just grab different guns and float towards each other until you're this horrible mass of gelatin and pistols. This is the only way I can really describe it.
Armed and Gelatinous. Okay, interesting.
Armed and Gelatinous. It was interesting.
I hadn't heard of it at all. It sounds really interesting. I'm gonna.
It was interesting for fun from that.
Yeah.
But saw that one. Well, outside of there, getting to also do a couple of the other panels that we did, like we put it on RPPR already, but the Murder Hobo. A
Cure for the Common Murder Hobo was a collaborative. We already posted the panel, so you listeners have already had a chance to listen to it. So yeah, those are the same people behind some of the other panels we recorded from PAX South in previous years. They just changed the name of the organization, so I put links up in there. But yeah, it was a good sort of world building exercise kind of panel. Yeah,
absolutely. And I will leave this as just the mystery for people to learn later on and say this is a surprise if you come to Gen Con to see us. I decided to partake of a mystery box, and if you want to know what was in there, we're going to save it to Gen Con.
Yeah.
So we're going to leave that as a surprise.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my god! I was at Five Below yesterday with my wife, and I fucking saw Battleborn there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hopefully nobody's going to remember this by the time. Well, there's other games too, so this will be secret. Maybe they'll turn up at the Gen Con meetup. Special prizes for our most dedicated listeners.
Yes. I can't put finger quotes over the radio, Ross, or over the internet.
Yeah.
Sure you can. You're a method actor. You can do it.
So, Tom, what are some of your highlights?
Well, obviously, like last year, my biggest thing was the Retro Arcade. It wasn't as good as last year because this year it was Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, not regular Mortal Kombat 3. Nah.
Okay. All right. I don't know the difference, and please don't explain it to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was still great to play that game again. Also, I'm a classic console fanatic. I was on the SNES most of the time I was there.
Was it like the actual SNES or the SNES Classic?
The SNES, the original.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the classics over there. Although, speaking of the arcade, there was something that we did, Ross, that I forgot to mention on that. That we discovered in the in the Retro Arcade, they had a die-hard arcade machine that I was not aware of. Of this ever existed.
Yeah, sort of a Polygon Virtua Fighter looking die-hard 2-player co-op brawler thing, and where you're trying to get it from the villain looks like he belongs in a Ninja Gaiden game or Tekken, that old guy in Tekken. And yeah, you just John McClane and generic female cop fight bad guys and robots.
And your every Ed 209 replica and whatnot as you're going up this to save the president's daughter as this guy's stealing something. You never know.
It's money.
Yeah.
Probably, I would assume it. But
they showed it's definitely money. Like,
oh, did it? Okay, because the only thing I remembered is that they opened the vault and it had the golden glow from Pulp Fiction coming.
Well, they stole the MacGuffin.
Okay, and then of course you're rescuing the president's daughter who's hiding in a cabinet the entire time. And you also have the satisfaction at the very end when you beat the boss. The game's not over. One of you has to fight to the death before you can be rescued by the police helicopter.
It's not a fight to the death. It's just a fight because the building's fine.
Well, the president's daughter, no, she's saying that, thank you. It's like, I want to pick one of you to be my personal bodyguard. So fight it out for me.
Oh God! See, but I think it's even more insulting because consider this. This was an arcade machine, so when one person beats the other, it doesn't end. You can still continue. So this just encourages the 10-year-old pissing matches that probably occurred. Like, I'm not the best John McClane. You're going to be it. Constant.
Yeah, I would take a dive in that fight. I would not want to be the bodyguard of a 10-year-old who got kidnapped by international terrorists. Like, that's hard. Like, you have to go out of your way to get kidnapped by international bad guys.
It's actually brilliant because that game's designed to eat quarters. That's what it does.
Well, yes, that is an arcade game.
That's true, so.
Yeah. So yeah, we had a lot of fun doing that. So we did.
By the way, I'm still the master of pilot wings.
Okay.
We're not done yet. Get back over here to the video games.
It's all I've got.
All right. So, well, speaking of video games, it seemed this year was smaller than last year, at least in terms of the exhibitor area, and I think. Last year they had, Nintendo was previewing the Switch. Capcom was hyping Resident Evil 7. And God, there was something else that was getting a lot of hype.
There was just a ton of VR stuff.
Yeah. And like the biggest game that they were really hyping this one was Monster Hunter Worlds, I think.
Yeah, Monster Hunter World had a big display. So it was smaller than last year's, but I mean, like, last year you had the Switch and RE7, so of course it's going to be smaller if you don't have shit like that coming down the pipe. But it was still a lot of fun. I got to play a couple of video games that I haven't had a chance, that I've been hype about, but I haven't had a chance to play. So the first game I played was Tonight We Riot, which is a side-scrolling brawler where you're fighting against a fascist government and you're trying to overthrow it. And of course, it's not just you though. You can recruit a mob of people. Like, people will join your side, and they're AI controlled, so you just get more and more people fighting you. And so it's not just fighting against other riot police or whatever. You also fight monsters and robots and shit like that. So it looks really fun. And I saw it being previewed there last year, but I didn't get a chance to actually play it until this year, and I'm like, oh, it looks so cool. So yeah,
I'm looking at the trailer right now on Steam, and is it kind of like supposed to be sort of like a tongue-in-cheek, the proletariat finally striking back against the bourgeois kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely.
They were doing that, and one of the functions I really liked about that is that you just gather more people because you have like safe houses that you can go through, get other people, and then you just have a horde throwing different improvised weapons like Molotov cocktails, bricks, and different weapons as you come across.
Yeah, it looks really fun. So hopefully it's going to come out pretty soon. I've been looking forward to that. The other game I got to try out was that I really was interested in is Deep Sky Derelicts. And that is sort of a science fiction dungeon crawler that the gameplay is reminiscent of Darkest Dungeon, but obviously it's stylized differently. It's got a comic book feel for it. It's science fiction, and you're going through abandoned spaceships. And it's in early access right now. You can actually buy it right now. I would not recommend buying it right now, because they're still in the stage of game development where they're tuning things. Right now, unlike Darkest Dungeon, where each character class has 6 moves and you can pick 4 at a time. In this one, you get like a deck. Each character has a deck of cards, and when you use one ability too often, you have to discard it and use other abilities. And so that's really fucking annoying, because then I want to attack and do damage. Oh, you're out of attack cards. Now you've got to buff each other for 2 moves. And I'm just like, ugh.
That could sound totally gross if taken out of context.
Hey-o.
You have to buff each other now.
Yeah. Exactly. So, that was, so it's still, of course, I'm flashing back to Darkest Dungeon, the corpse, controversy, over persistent corpses, in battle. So I would wait until this game is further along in development before deciding to get it or not. I mean, it looks promising, but so the core gameplay looks fun, but it depends on how they balance it. It could be really they could ruin it or knock it out of the park depending on how the game is balanced. Like if it's really fucking annoying or really good. So those are the two games I played. Aaron, you played one you wanted to mention, right?
A couple. Which one?
Armed and Gelatinous, and you were...
Yes, yeah, Armed and Gelatinous. We did that as well. So, yeah, this one was just a simple, like a kind of shoot 'em up game where you have 4 players at the corners flying through something of like an asteroid field, and you have the purpose of this is to have it's kind of a points building that as many as you is surviving with the largest blob that has as many guns welded into it as possible, and the more guns you get, you just become a gigantic beam spam towards everybody else. It did have a mechanic though where if you timed it correctly enough, you could actually pop somebody fairly easily through a move. But
Nice.
As I am horrible at learning games initially, I've just on the fly I was sitting going like, what do I do with that until I got their pop. It's a cute little game, so
Okay.
but for couch co-op would be interesting. But yeah, for tonight we Riot was a lot of fun.
Were there any other new games you got to try out?
Not as much. There was one, I don't think it was with Devolver, but it was something Graveyard something. That was kind of looking interesting. It looked like it had kind of RPG elements, so I'll have to roll back and see what was in there.
Chris, did you find anything? Any of the new?
I'm trying to think of there was a rather interesting sort of NES game maker thing. It was and apparently it's like
yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, I think it's a combination. Like you'll use like a Windows-based platform to actually do the granular details, the nuts and bolts of it, and then
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's it's NES Maker. And
oh yes,
yeah,
which I thought looked really impressive. But every time I swung by, it was always populated.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, even like I said, it was smaller, but like there were still a lot of people there. So like, it was hard to. You'd have to wait in line to get. Like I had to wait to play Deep Sky Derelict and so forth. So like NES Maker, it's programming NES cartridges to play. There's a documentary about it that they were selling, and you can probably order online. Right now. So yeah, that's something to check out if you're interested in that kind of thing. So, but yeah, this year was more tabletop oriented because we did a lot of cool tabletop stuff. So like I mentioned, I think the biggest thing was that I finally got to play True Dungeon after, like 10 years of not playing because I'm like, I'm too busy at Gen Con and blah, blah, blah. But like, it's PAX South. I got time. So
yeah, and this was either I think this was like the first year they were doing it here, right? So,
no, they were doing a preview of it last year.
They did the preview last year, and this is the first year they actually got to do the full adventure. So this was when we went through the Moongate Maze.
Maze, which was at Gen Con last year, and so they were just doing. This is the last version of it, I guess. They're going to have a new dungeon. Well, actually, no, they're going to show. We're actually going to Origins Game Con as well. Since I might be going to Origins this year, I might be able to do it. But they're doing some other maze or some other dungeon as well. But they're doing a brand new thing and premiering a new dungeon at Gen Con, which is ice themed. And so yeah, Moongate Maze. First off, Chris, what is your impressions of True Dungeon since this was obviously your first time as well?
So I kind of got the notion that this is like an escape room for nerds, but that's kind of a misnomer because escape rooms are in fact for nerds.
Oh, they are.
So in and of themselves. It doesn't matter what the window dressing is. That said, I have to admire everyone. The people who are running it. You obviously got some drama geeks in here, and they're hewing very close to character. The people who were there to facilitate the game, the people who were not, in costume or character. It was kind of incongruous but funny. We had this guy in the trilby hat who was just like being kind of a smartass to this 8 of us.
Oh yeah, the GMs that were having, or an agent one dealing for combat or whatnot. So,
and I kind of get it. If you guys stand there for like 12 hours and just it's group after group who don't know how to like solve the puzzle,
We did pretty well, actually.
You figured at some point he would just be screaming at, "It's 3 pieces!" So,
that said, it was really an entire full body experience. The sound, there was always sound, and they had like
Music,
their little animatronics going and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I don't know if those were animatronics or puppets, or like just like puppets, or like really elaborate costumes with like fitted pieces or something. Like, I don't know how they did those, but it was really impressive.
I don't want anyone thinking that you go into this and you see something like Disney's Hall of Presidents, where you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Those are going to take over someday. So, no, I actually do know how they do that, because a lot of those, like one of the first rooms we went into, we had an entish creature, a tree creature, that was sitting in front, and all of it is like the electronics and the smoke that was coming out of his mouth, but at the same time there was somebody behind him that I saw exit the room as we did, that was moving everything. So it's a combination of some effects and puppetry as well.
I see. So no, it was really well done. We did the puzzle oriented version of the thing, because the other combat is basically fucking just
Shuffleboard.
Very extra shuffleboard. Like, it's very, very dramatic shuffleboard, because you have all these magic tokens that you use as items, and then you have all these other things. It's ridiculous. And we did pretty well in the puzzle one. I don't want to spoil it, obviously, but there was a puzzle involving scent that we didn't solve because we ran out of time, but we got the main thing, and also because scent is really hard to get people to agree on. What does this smell like? Well, I don't know. What does it smell like?
Yeah, really, the only thing that we should have done is that once we got one right, we really needed to have somebody like sticking to a flower saying, "Nope, we did this one."
We did that.
So,
some people did that, but not enough people did that. Which is really fucking annoying. I tried to do that first. Like, all right, I did mine. I'm out, but no.
But we had enough people there that worked from that, and I would actually say, just from going through one last from Gen Con 2 years ago, because I did Into the Deeper Dark, which was a very it was the full dungeon based one, so we had like lava pits and everything, and driders and that stuff. This one was much more, again, for elven and ethereal too, and I was kind of surprised we didn't have like a fight at the end like we did the last one.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if that's maybe set for difficulty, because we chose normal in this one.
That might be a good reason.
Whereas Into the Deeper Dark, we went ahead and went with the most difficult run that we could. So, and somehow it came alive, with the exception of Micah dying, but.
All right, that's a good point. I really it was also really cool for me, because there was one puzzle where it's like, hey, I know this one piece of trivial information that's vitally useful. Yeah. I knew a thing about a type of tree that was useful. So
he's 1/10 of a tree doctor.
I played a druid, and I totally suck at match. Like, part of it works is like the spellcasters have to memorize certain shapes in order to gain bonuses to their spells. And for druids, it was leaves and matching and so like I fucking failed every single one of those tests, because I could it's not just like 3 leaf types, it's like 14, and you get like 3 minutes to memorize it. I'm like, I'm not, and they're similar shapes. Like, is this persimmon or elm or whatever? It's like, or hickory or oak or whatever. It's like, they both have 5 leaves. I don't know. It was
something you have to do with the puzzles can be really off right now. I think to special mention, especially for Chris, needs to be done when we entered it, because we had while we were sitting with the puzzles, we were getting blessings from this elven queen.
Yeah.
So, and to do that, we had to give her presents, and Chris decided to be the bard in that moment.
Yeah.
So,
because of course I did.
Yeah.
Chris, you're a good bard.
Well, no, I'm going to say this because I was planning to do what I did the last time and just sing, but when you went up there, it's like, well, damn, I'm not going to follow that one up, so I'm going to just go ahead and do the stupid thing of giving a present, which I handed out one of the Patreon postcards to this.
Nice.
They looked confused, which was funny for me.
Yeah.
I was happy.
Chris, what did you sing for the Elven Queen? Or
I can't remember, but I mean, like I was kind of just put on the spot, so I put my mind in a different place so I wouldn't freeze up, and I just kind of, I was just like, I'm never going to see these people again and be as dumb as I want to be.
Yeah.
So
I think,
God bless you too.
Yeah. I think next time I do True Dungeon, I'm going to do some role-playing warm-up exercises to kind of get in the mood of being a silly kind of jackass. So
I don't think I was so much a jackass, but I was just like, oh, what's a very
no. I'm talking about me. I want to be more of a jackass next time. Like maybe have a couple of beers before I go in, because that's
is that what it takes?
You were properly medicated.
Yeah. Oops.
So, well, and I think that's fair to the people who are volunteering for the positions on there, because if you're stuck in one or two areas, you got to get bored after once in a while. So
yeah, exactly. I want to have. I'm talking about fun. I just felt a little stiff and awkward because I wasn't like, oh, they want me to roleplay and get into the character and stuff like that, and I'm just like, what am I doing? I was just a little.
It's your first time, man.
Yeah.
So, and you have that survival button. So
I do have a survival button. Yeah,
and we still have a mass of tokens.
We do have tokens.
It seems to me that like
Bitcoin, right?
Yes, they are like Bitcoin, Tom.
It seemed to me that like it seems to me that this True Dungeon thing can be as involved as you want it to be. Because I think we spent a lot of time going over these tokens and like trying to equip them on our person and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it didn't matter that much.
Yeah, it didn't matter in the end. I was just like, I really need to like I was setting my wife up. I was like stacking all these benefits on top of each other because I was just like she's going to die in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I gave her as much armor as I could, and then most of it was just
GM just came through. It's like you don't need this. You don't need this. I don't care about this. No.
Yeah, I gave myself like a ring to let me talk to snakes or some shit. I was like, I was kind of like trying to be a jack of all trades. And it turns out that, we're just going to, do some drama.
Yeah.
And she brought us Whataburger.
Yeah.
God bless her.
Oh, you're sorry. Chris's wife did make a Whataburger run for us, and we were trying.
Yeah, this is we're talking about first. This is my wife's first time to a convention like this, and yeah, I mean, she was a good sport. She was kind of nervous going in, but I think once she found out that no one's really paying attention to her, she kind of loosened up.
Yeah. Yeah, she's among nerds, like they're she was fine. Let's see, what else did we do? So you think? Oh, do you think you're gonna try True Dungeon again? Because you're going to Gen Con this year, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to make the Gen Con. Might be dragging Amanda with me, and if I do, I definitely want to just let's just make it a habit. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we would definitely want you to in that group as well if we can get the tickets for it, because we're so happy you enjoyed it too. And if you do it at Gen Con, they have like the whole Lucas Oil Field Stadium, so it's even larger than what they've done there. So
maybe that's why they didn't have the combat, was also because they just didn't have enough space.
That's true, because this was in like a ballroom area on the third floor.
I mean, it was like it was like 7 rooms, which we got through in 2 hours, which was fine. Like a little under 2 hours actually. But yeah, it was fine. I had a blast, and I'll be willing to try it again. I'm going to try and get Caleb and Spencer to go to True Dungeon and Origins if we have time and it works out, because I'm really trying to sell it on to them. So let's see here. What else? Of course, we also another game that I got to play that I had heard a little bit about Gen Con, because I saw they had not display booths, but little display cases set up with their minis that looked really cool. Was Wild West Exodus, which is a miniatures skirmish game. Not army size, but like warband size, so like 5 to 12 figures per side. And I got to play a full demo, like a 2-hour game, 3-turn game. So Wild West Exodus is there's 6 factions or so. Of course, there's Native Americans with magical powers. There's lawmen. There's outlaws. There's the federales, the federal troops. There's also mad scientists with like Frankenstein type soldiers. And there's like Hex, which is like a mad evil magic, and then there's like an angelic one. So there's a lot of different sides, and they all shoot at each other. So I played a demo where I was playing the Enlightened, which are the mad scientist faction, and was fighting the federal troops. And the basic scenario, kill the leader of the enemy faction. And I'm interested in the game still. Even full disclosure, I got my ass annihilated in this game.
Not that our rolling helped you at all.
Yeah, no, it was part of it was bad rolling. It's a game that involves a lot of D10 rolling, so there is a bit of randomness involved. But I think my faction was underpowered compared to theirs, and I'll get into that in a little bit. One thing I do like is at the beginning of the game, to determine initiative, you have 2 decks of cards, one with guts and glory abilities, and those are guts give you can use a guts. There's a guts and a glory on each card, and the guts thing gives you some advantage in the game, like +1 action point or some other benefit to your characters. In the glory thing is gain additional victory points by doing something else. So you have to choose whether you want to improve your effectiveness in the game or gain more victory points to try and win. So you have to kind of decide what's going to be more effective for you. So I found that interesting. But you also have an initiative deck, and each initiative card has a number between 1 and 50 on it, and then 1 to 4 for action points. And so you flip over the card at the beginning of the turn, determine who goes first, and that's the initiative number. Then you turn over another card if you go first, or whenever you go and then you use the action point number, which is a number between 1 and 4. And you use that 1 to 4 points on one of your characters. Characters have, and you activate one character at a time, and then you go back and forth about who's activating what. So it's different from Conflict 47, where it's entirely random in what order characters will go. You can have in Conflict 47, you can have multiple units on the same side go. Which is interesting. And then and also different than Warhammer, where the entire army on one side goes and then the other side goes, which is, I think that's the least interesting thing. I like the mixing up which unit goes first. And so it's not entire, you can choose to react and do things. You have some control even when it's your opponent's turn. So, yeah. So anyway, you have a number of actions available to each character. Move, shoot, charge into melee. But you also have special actions like Focus, which gives you a bonus on the next action you do, whether it's shooting or moving. You can hunker down to gain a defensive bonus. You can go into, I forgot what it's called, but it's a limited Overwatch where you can only shoot back if someone shoots directly at your character, which I thought was pretty shitty. Because I think Overwatch should be shoot at the first enemy you see. So yeah. What else? And then you get to you activate your character, and then if you want to do multiple of the same action, there's a penalty. So if you want to shoot the first time you attack, it's 1 point, then the second time it's 2 points, and then 3 points, and so on and so forth. So I was playing the Frankenstein Mad Scientist. The other guy was playing that. And basically the way it works out is there's a ton of little fiddly bits to the rules where every unit has multiple little modifiers to what its attacks do and what it has. This unit has tough or resilient or whatever, and it gets a bonus to save against damage, or this weapon has this ability, and if you roll this, it does this. And so there's a lot of things to keep track of. So I imagine once you get used to it, it's a little easier to keep track. But of course, we were being led through this demo, me and this other random person, by one of the employees of the game company. So they knew the rules really well. So I imagine once you get used to it, but it's a little steep learning curve at the front. I mean, would you say, Aaron?
Yeah, from what I was seeing from it, it's because I came in about halfway when you and Chris were going through the game, and I kind of got threw off by just the multiple rolls. Yeah. For each one, when it was coming back, wait, shouldn't that just be like one hit, maybe a reaction, one and done? So from it, yeah, not too bad otherwise, but yeah, it's if you're just doing a demo, it just seems like a lot that would be thrown at you at the same time, which as I looked at it, like I like the minis, I like the concept, and I kind of like the fighting rules, but I'm not sure if I would want to dive into getting all the models at that moment. So
No.
with it, so
That's certainly true. Yeah, there is a lot of re-rolling. Like every warband leader has a pool or fortune chips that you can turn in to get a re-roll in abilities, and these renew at every turn. So you have at least a 4 to 5 point pool of things you can re-roll, and then certain characters get individual fortune pool points, and then certain unit character abilities allow you to re-roll certain things. So there's a lot of re-rolling, and some of it's bad. Like sometimes, like, oh, if you get wounded by this ability and you make your save against it to resist the damage, you have to roll again. So you have to make 2 rolls on it. And so that's really annoying. A little, well, not super annoying, but it adds a little bit of. There's a lot of fucking
to it,
yeah.
so.
Chris, what were your thoughts on it?
Well, kind of like what I said when I was there checking it out with you. I think I think they've really nailed the overall aesthetic and look.
It's got a great look,
and
yeah.
feel of the game. Yeah, I mean, people who are listening, you can go to War Cradle's website now, and you can actually download the manual. And take a look at it, see if you want to see some more explanation of the rules. But they have wonderful examples of this incredible art style here, and that was I was drawn immediately to how the game looked.
Yeah,
because it's just my brand of grungy, filthy, and but still has a sense of fun about it.
Yeah.
It's not light. There's no levity here. I mean, it's
very grimdark.
It's a dirty, disgusting world. But I mean, I think it's fully realized. And I think if and when they ever get around to the point of fleshing out the lore, probably novelizations or even graphic novels or something like that. I can't wait to see what they do with it. I love to see them take one of the they take characters from history.
Yeah.
You famous Confederate and Union generals are popping up in there, right?
Yeah.
They did. Yeah, there's also a lot of outlaws like Jesse James, I think, and Doc Holliday, I think, are characters you can get. I think it reminds me a lot of Deadlands. Now that I think about it, in terms of it's Deadlands, so it all but name. So definitely, if you like Deadlands, check it out. I think part of it was that I think if I want to play it, and I'll just have to go to the website and read all the factions to figure out which one I want, because I was stuck with a pretty shitty faction. I think the Enlightened's the constructs, they're tougher to save, which means a +1 bonus on a D10 roll, but he gets a -3 modifier to your roll. So it's really it's a -2 instead of a -3. Isn't that great? And his Gatling gun gets 6 shots, and he gets to re-roll anything that fails to wound you the first time. You get 3 shots. Though
he had a British accent. You remember that part, right?
Yeah.
Not this corn-fed yeehaw.
Yeah, I know. It was a UK game company, and so I felt like my guys, the only cool attack that I had was my main mad scientist dude, my leader, had an atomic blunderbuss, which I just placed down, and it caused it there's a chance it could kill outright, but then it created this hazard thing, which meant the opponent at the end of their next turn would have to roll again to not be melted into radioactive goo. And so that was really cool. And I had radioactive flamethrowers too. And so I thought that was really neat. But I mean, I got a couple of Frankensteins and one lady Sawbones and my mad scientist, and he got 2 robot dogs, a guy in power armor with a Gatling gun, another guy with a Gatling gun, and some sharpshooters, and his general with all kinds of special abilities. So obviously this might sound a little sour grapes because it did lose, but again, I feel there's probably a rock paper scissors things where maybe that faction's weak against some other thing, but I don't know. I just have to. It's just a lot of these kind of skirmish games are boiled down to making the most effective, warband, and avoiding these kind of trap choices or suboptimal choices. So it's like building a character in 3rd ed D&D or something like that. And so if I was going to invest $50 in building a warband, I would like to pick a good faction that would be cool and also not get my ass kicked every time in fighting, because I don't have to win every time, but like I don't want to lose every time. So it's definitely worth. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'll probably give it another at least one more game before I really commit one way or the other. Let's see, what else did we play? I finally got to play Tokaido, which, Chris, thank you for getting from the board game library.
Yeah. One of my favorites.
It was amusing to watch you play.
Oh yeah.
I should preface all this that the board games we did check out, Ross stomped us all. He just he sees the lyrics and he knows exactly how the music is played. It was outstanding.
I never played it before. They have reviewed it on the Mix 6, so I was familiar with the concept, but I just got lucky, I guess, because I played the merchant guy who can buy items cheaper from the villages, and so I just bought a lot of everything and just racked up.
I guess we should describe the game.
Yeah.
So Tokaido is essentially Tokaido is the name of this road, I believe, that led from Edo to Kyoto.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially you're playing monks or travelers that are on the road from Edo to Kyoto or vice versa. You can play it either way. And the idea is that along the way you are visiting like stores to buy like these little knickknacks or souvenirs, and you'll be passing these beautiful vistas, and your character will stop by to paint them and stuff like that, and hot springs and so on and so forth. And those of you familiar with these types of board games, it's a point salad board game, which is that you're kind of concerned with making the most optimal move to get the most points, because he who has the most points at the end wins. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting with this game is that the person who is furthest behind the board always has the next turn. And not every space on the board can be occupied by more than one character. So if someone reaches a particularly optimal spot first, like, say, the farm, which gives you money, if someone gets there first and you're kind of out of money and you really do need money to buy souvenirs and to buy food at the inn, there are 5 inns that everyone has to stop at, and that's kind of where the big points are made, so on and so forth. And so there are elements of denial, denying other players optimal moves, that sort of thing. But really kind of a relaxing and nice game, for me anyways.
No, yeah, it's got that kind of worker placement thing where it's about like not only optimizing your own thing, but denying optimal choices for your opponents.
Yeah.
I really focused on being as slow as possible. So I do remember at least two or three times where I would like make a move and then everyone else was still ahead of me, so I'd go again. So I was just like trailing behind everybody, picking up shit like, might as well go to the hot springs. Everyone else is already ahead of me. And so that was fun. Yeah, it is a really cool. It's a beautiful graphic design. Beautiful board, very easy to pick up once you get a handle on it. Yeah, I definitely want to play it again. What else did we get? For the Birds, I'm not as familiar with this one. Is this something you've been aware of before?
Yeah, someone may know better than me, but I seem to. It was on demo at Gen Con last year, and
okay.
So that puts it to me under the impression that it was new or soon to be released at that time, and it's very popular. I couldn't really wait around to get my own demonstration of it, and so the general thrust of this game is that everyone has a different colored team of birds, red, yellow, blue, etc. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that you have to get these birds in a square formation or in a straight line of 4 birds. So where the challenge comes in to do this is that ultimately where you place your birds on the board are generally not up to you. You roll a pair of dice, and the dice correspond to like a number on the board. So if you roll, there are 2 d10s. So if you roll a 2 and a 3, you could place your bird on the 23 spot or the 32 spot. And there are cards you could play that allow you to manually move your birds in certain directions, so on and so forth. And so you're competing for spots on the board, and there's what's called a pecking order. So each, we played with 4 people, so that was pretty optimal actually. So like between the 4 of us, someone was like the top bird. So like if Ross rolled a number where a bird of mine was setting, since he was at the top of the pecking order, he got to push me off that spot. for example. So, and then there are like, I guess you call these NPCs, or just like, non-playable characters, called the crows and the eagles. And the crows are always at the top of the pecking order. That they would, if someone played a crow on top of Ross, he would have to move no matter what. And on top of the crows were the eagles, and the eagles don't necessarily rest on the numbered spots. They rest on special nodes in the center of these numbers, and they take up basically 4 spaces on the board. So that they're the most powerful bird. But these birds are not necessarily used in winning you don't get 3 eagles in a row or 4 crows in a row. They don't factor into the play that way.
Yeah.
So strategy really comes down to, I feel, managing your resources. That is, your cards that allow you to manually move your birds or the eagles or crows to harass other players. And it was the first time all 4 of us were playing, and me, my wife, and my brother were just kind of trying to get our birds on the board. And Ross just, he saw the right move to play. He played the card that let him move 2 birds to any one space, and just click, click. He made a square, no problem.
Well, I think it was a line, but yeah,
was it a line?
Yeah,
yeah, I think
it was like, because I actually had like an initial line that was going, and then I'm trying to remember if either Ross anticipated it or one of us just kept rolling the hawks that kept coming up and disrupting everything.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about, for me, it was to a certain degree, it is getting your birds onto the board at all. But like, the main thing is to be constantly watching your opponents to see who's close to getting to 4, and then you have to shit on them forever until they're no longer a threat.
Thematically appropriate for birds.
Exactly. And then, so I was watching everybody else, and so anytime I had a crow or an eagle, I would be like, oh, well, that's something I need to break up. And then for me, it was trying to just hope nobody noticed I had 3 birds that just needed.
We sure as hell didn't.
Yeah. And then once it got, I got a bird, and then I thought my strategy would be like, I'll get a bird not I'll put it 2 spaces away. Because of the way placing birds works is you have to do it by the numbers. So it's like, I can put a bird 2 spaces away. So my next turn, if nobody figures that out, I will be able to win. And so I was just like, oh God, I hope no one notices.
Basically,
yeah.
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Tom.
Yeah. It's a really good board game.
It was a lot of fun.
We'll play it at Gen Con at some point.
So just real quick, Push Fight. You wanted to try out Push Fight.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before. Or you talked
have
about
we?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, on one of the other Patreon episodes. It's really cool. I really want to get a copy. My only thing is that it sucks that it's 2-player only. I mean, I understand why it is, but I would like to get. It's just a really neat chess like
this
experience.
Is for me. It's like it's chess for somebody who can't wrap their head around chess, and that guy is me. And,
and Chris, you actually put this more interesting because in my line of work with the kids that I work with, that's actually really cool for teaching patience and thinking your strategy without having to assemble a whole lot of parts and rules together. Like, here's what you move. Don't try to push me. Try to push me over. Oh well, you really need to think about what you're doing.
But we have to go back to one of our new traditions by now. The thing is, of course, Chris is really fortunate enough to bring some shitty, terrible, absolutely fucking awful Xbox indie download games. So first off, Tom, out of all of those games, which did you like the most and why?
Oh, Jesus. I don't know.
Did you already forget them?
I was trying to, but now some of them are coming back. I don't know. Granny Theft Auto was.
Oh my God!
Jesus Christ! Yeah.
That was not. Oh God damn that game.
Well, tell the listeners about Granny Theft Auto, Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
Well, it's you're playing a granny, an old lady, and you have to steal vehicles to collect muffins.
Yeah.
That's the point. Yeah. Other than that, it's there's horrible physics that you can try to jump your vehicles.
But Tom, you augmented the experience using some very quick thinking in your smartphone.
Oh yeah, I did, didn't I? I played.
You did.
What song did I play?
Oh god.
Oh, I think you played "In the Mood" by Glenn.
Yeah,
what's
I
his
did.
name?
Yeah, Glenn Miller, I think.
Glenn Miller's band. Yeah.
Because it just seemed like, oh, this needs some music, but it needs music from the 40s.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, Tom augmented the experience, quick thinking on his part, and thematically appropriate. Considering
right.
I can't remember what the music was in this silly.
Yeah, had I thought about it, I would just got like a copy of Sing 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 going.
So, Aaron, what was your favorite shitty Xbox game?
Well, see, favorite is going through because it sounds like there's like a category between two of this. Because I'll say the least worst out of them, where it was something competent, is probably a tie between Clash of the Monsters and whatever that very weak Star Fox clone was.
Space Cat with the exclamation mark.
Because I'll at least give it that yeah. Clash of the Monsters,
like the one who got his roommates to do the voices for the characters.
Yes.
Jesus
So
Christ,
I'll get that. But yeah, so Clash of the Monsters is not a good fighting game, and they're using just all the public domain monsters there.
They're not. That's the thing. They're definitely not using all the public domain monsters. There's 7 characters, and 2 of them are like Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
That's true. So that's true because you have Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman in there. You had
the best character,
Bride of Dracula, was it? One of those?
Skeleton is the best one.
Yeah, Skeleton. But no, we need special attention to Invisible Man.
That's it.
Yes.
You have that guy.
The first
you can't see him coming.
I know, because that's the problem, because nobody can see him coming, not even his player.
There is no model for the Invisible Man. There's not an outline.
He occupies physical space, but he has no model to go off of, so it's just a guessing game, whatever the hell's going to happen.
So, my challenge to you is to imagine the Invisible Man as your favorite Invisible Man. And for me, friends, that is certainly Kevin Bacon.
Oh, Claude Rains all the way, you hypocrite. But it wasn't horrible, because like it was, some effort was put into this, but it just not enough to be able to do what they have.
You could play it.
That's the most important thing.
That makes it a top tier shitty.
Yeah, that
game.
did. As for
Tom could have wrapped his claws around it, because it was definitely Mortal Kombat-esque.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely, you're not wrong on that. Space Cat, I actually appreciated, because despite the fact that, we had like bargain basement voice acting in this, you could see effort being put into it. But the problem is there's a whole story back there that we don't have access to. Like, there's text in this world that we have to assume went into this to try to legally separate it from Star Fox.
Describe how it looked, Aaron.
Oh God, polygons?
No, voxels.
Oh, voxels.
Very poorly programmed voxels, because the game would shudder to like half a frame a second when a monster exploded into a million different voxels.
Oh God, there were so many there were so many objects on there. It just, Chris's poor Xbox One was just struggling to keep up going. All right, if you optimize this, I can do something, but I'm just going to ship my processor. I'm so sorry.
So there are a couple other shitty games that we played. You need all 3 shitties. The first one, of course, we tried was Virtuo City.
Which
was great.
I knew nothing about this, but apparently Aaron is well in certain aspects of pop culture. So when this thing started, Aaron just lit up.
Oh no, I unfortunately went off on that one. So the first thing you notice is that the flyer, if you've ever seen Gravity Falls, and particularly one of the episodes where a dating sim character comes to life for one of the characters in there, that was named Jiffany. Her character, the person you're doing, the character model looks exactly like her, and she has very dead eyes, in which if you turn around, it just stares directly into your soul. The second aspect I saw from this is that when it started, the first song that came up, and I'm going to look this up right now, just Gravity Falls.
Anyways, you play as a little anime girl flying around picking up little item boxes to get points, but that's it. Like, one of the common denominators of most of these shitty games is shitty games. Sorry, 3 shitties. Is that there's no real plot, and it's just fucking terrible. But yeah, you just do things. So other
It was also interesting. They had Zelda
so-
music in this thing.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, that was-
clearly copyright violation to hell and back. And
Yeah,
Xbox
'cause
is
the
like,
first
yeah,
one they-
put it on there.
Well, the one-
pure shovelware asset flips.
Yeah, the way that they're doing this is that the first song that came up was the Gravity Falls theme, but it was one done by Liz Robinette, so it had lyrics to it. And I'm like, what the hell? And then they did a Smooth McGroove a cappella redo for Zelda music. I'm like, okay, so you're not stealing the normal property, but YouTubers are trying to make a buck on their own stuff. So that's kind of a double shitty.
Yeah, so of course we have more shitty games to talk about. There was Bifrost Battle, which Chris was really disappointed about because apparently has a good trailer, but it's really fucking shitty. It's just some side-scrolling fight 'em on the Bifrost Rainbow Bridge where you're a Viking guy, and we played like 3 minutes because it's not good.
Well, it's really after 3 minutes. Like I think we got everything this game has to offer.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here.
But what you don't know is it's actually a preview for Thor 4.
Four.
Sorry.
Let's see. Also, there was I don't remember the exact name, but a zombie themed wave FPS where you shoot zombies to get money to get better guns to shoot zombies.
Yeah, Ross, you were really getting into it. You were starting to get invested, weren't you?
I was. It was a rich narrative. There's actually one game Aaron got really invested in that I do remember, named Super Retro Platform, which was the synthwave game.
Oh God! Okay,
It actually looked halfway decent.
Yeah, it looked halfway decent, but it's a 3D platformer that just has zero, very floaty controls and a lot of slick surfaces. So it's not really that great because you have to constantly look at your feet, which is if you're supposed to be looking at the grand visual that you've been given, it doesn't help because all I sat there was just going like, all right, I'm gonna make it fuck. All right, back to it again, and it does have a save feature, but why?
Yeah, it's fun. Of course, I also appreciated I don't remember the name of it, but you're playing an elf in a rocket-powered Christmas sled.
Oh yeah, the title of this thing is just more. It's called Recovery Elf 2017. It's just this is shit like Alcohol Anonymous makes. Just or Narcotics Anonymous. It's just I'm the Recovery Elf.
Come for me, my chip.
That was pretty good. That had really great sled graphics, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, just an entirely too large world with like not nearly anything to do with it, and just you can just you can just zone out and drive off the planet.
Yep.
And your thrusters look like they're about to set the forest on fire.
Hey man, that game is the definitive sleigh simulator.
You know what? I got to give you credit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also one I don't remember the name of, but it was something about a cat. That you could change.
Kitty's Adventure for Xbox One. The whole title right there.
It's as good as it sounds.
Russ made the observation, and it's true, that it was the most game-like of the games we played.
Yeah.
That is to say that you control a character. There were objects to pick up, and there's an end goal to the stage.
Yeah, the end goal was really what separates the shitty shit tier games versus the shitty A tier games. There's different tiers, of course.
For Kitty's Adventure, you just it's a weird angle. You kind of get the idea it should be top down, kind of like a Bomberman maze.
Yeah,
but you guide your cat, and you pick up the word spelling kitty. Get to the end, and then you get to watch this incredibly detailed model do jumping jacks.
Yay! So that was pretty fun. Of course, speaking of shitty games, we also did watch the App Junkies, which we did last year, which is apparently from the Nerf This podcast, and basically they MST3K shitty iOS games. But this year, apparently they didn't. The guy obviously only spent like 10 minutes to get apps for it because he had a lot of the same apps from last year's presentation, and like at least 2/3 of the apps didn't work at all from the latest iOS update broke it. So The ones that he did have were funny because there was one guy who made these side-scrolling fight 'em games with this weird style of animation, and like it was basically superhero copyright violation. The game where Nick Fury, an obvious Nick Fury, is called Monocle Man, which is the greatest Google Translate error of like an eye patch I've ever said. Monocles and eye patches are basically the same.
They functioned.
Yeah.
The developer's name is M. Dickey.
That's it. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And so that was fun. So there's some really fun ones, but I don't think I'll go again next year because it doesn't look like he's going to put any effort in it because I didn't want to. Yeah, I kind of wish that would be a great YouTube series. That would be something maybe we could do at some point. Is like just doing streaming of shitty games and 4 or 5 people making fun of them.
Oh my god! I actually just found Dicky's website. It's kind of amazing.
I'll take your word for it.
When I say amazing, I mean like terrible.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, amazing and terrible, not the same words. It turns out.
Memorable.
Memorable.
So
it's amazing.
It's amazing. So yeah, I had a great time. Definitely want to come back next year. Play more board games. Yeah. Sorry.
I got some In-N-Out burger. Fuck yeah.
Okay. Yep. We got to eat great, healthy fast food.
Let us review In-N-Out Burger for our fans here. No, you got to get the double, all right? No. And don't whip out the onions. I don't want to hear you hate onions.
I hate onions.
I hate onions, too.
It's fucking delicious, and anyone who thinks differently is wrong.
Whoa. Strong words. Last thing, I do want to mention some of the podcasts we listened to, because I loaded up a bunch of new ones that I hadn't listened to very much, or at all. The Dollop podcast is a really fun history podcast where a guy reads up on topic and just tells it as a story to a stand-up comedian, and they both talk about
the fucking bald knobbers. Man.
Yes, we listened to one episode about the bald knobbers, which were a real
ridiculous.
Yes, they're a real vigilante group that wore masks in the 19th century and terrorized the countryside. They weren't racist per se because there just weren't any people of color in the Ozarks after the Civil War. They surely would have been had there been people of color available to terrorize, but they terrorized other white people.
Yeah, they were just terrible in other ways.
Yeah, they were trying to fight crime, and then they became criminals.
Then they became the moral.
Well, and they became basically a mafia. It's like, Farmer Bob has great land that I really want to get, so he turns out to be an adulterer, so we should run him off his land and force him to sell it to me for $1. It's like,
if he does it, we'll shoot his family.
Yeah. So that was a great episode to learn about a really fucked up bit of Ozark history. We also listened to several episodes of We Hate Movies, which is, I'm finding, a more entertaining podcast about making fun of bad movies than How Did This Get Made?
Well, because these aren't live.
Yeah, these aren't live. Better sound quality, and not nearly as many ads. Because How Did This Get Made has way too many ads, I think, at this point. So, let's see here. What else? El Chapo Trap House. Great
good,
political comedy podcast. Very topical, very angry and venti. Yeah, very, very good. Let's see here. I Don't Even Own a TV. I listened a couple episodes.
Reviewing a book I read in elementary.
Yeah, which book was that, Tom?
Oh, that was Blaster Master.
Worlds of Power.
Worlds of Power. Yeah.
Also, a book that all three of us just kind of shook our heads at and going, "Wow, this is like trying to be the most edgelord of edgelord."
Yes, Level 26 Dark Origins, which is the first digi novel, mind you. So keep that in mind.
And Steven Seagal's book.
That was on El Chapo Trap House. That was actually a
Jesus.
Patreon. Yeah.
If I gotta recommend an episode of I Don't Even Own a TV, you really ought to go back and have them review Bill O'Reilly's book.
Oh, the time traveling one.
He did a time traveling book?
Yeah.
That was
Oh
Rush,
my God.
That was Rush
Yeah.
Limbaugh.
Oh no, that was no. Was that Bill O'Reilly or was it Rush Limbaugh?
That was Rush Limbaugh.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Rush Limbaugh did
That's
the
still
children's-
impressive.
Yeah. Okay, so we listened to one fucking right-wing political blowhard doing a book for kids about time traveling to the American founding fathers. So yeah, okay, the Bill O'Reilly one. All right, I'll have to listen to that one. So yeah, that's the great podcast to listen to. Of course, keep listening to RPPR.
And they made an 11-hour car ride go by pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely improved that. So, any final thoughts on PAX South 2018?
I am very happy to hear that you guys still managed to have a good time in spite of there being a smaller footprint vendor-wise. And, I hope you guys will give it another shot next year. I certainly will. And
Well, for sure. I mean, I'm going to PAX East.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I hope that's I hope they got more stuff there. I hope so.
Well, I think the thing is that, PAX Out, 2018 was a quieter year for video games than last year just because, there's no fucking Nintendo Switch coming out. It's already out. There's no other huge things that I'm aware of coming down the pipe. But for me, I don't go to PAX South. I go for the tabletop side and playing new board games in their board game library. The panels, they always have several RPG/tabletop oriented ones. And yeah, that kind of stuff. That the video games are a nice bonus, but that's not the primary reason why I go. So now that True Dungeon's going to be there, hopefully every year, that's going to be hopefully another annual tradition. So doing True Dungeon every year there. So yeah, definitely. Anyways, this has been our PAX South 2018 wrap up. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.
See you next year.